If you ever find yourself in a graveyard after midnight, there's one rule you must never break: never stop to listen to the whispers. Evelyn didn't believe that, and they buried her for it. The wind carried no warmth that night, only the scent of damp earth and decay. Under the shrouded moon, the old graveyard lay in silence, the crooked headstones casting warped shadows across the frost-bitten ground. Evelyn's boots crunched over the brittle grass as she clutched her lantern tighter. She had no business being here, but her brother had dared her 1 hour inside Hollow Brook Cemetery. It was an old local legend. If you stayed long enough, they said, something would follow you home. Her breath clouded in the air as she passed a weather-worn angel statue. Its stone face eroded into a blank, eyeless stare. The lantern's light wavered. Evelyn told herself it was the wind, but there was no wind now, just stillness, and the faintest sound of whispering. She froze. The whispers were too soft to understand, sliding like cold fingers along her spine. She turned the lantern toward the nearest headstone. Nothing, only her own pulse pounding in her ears. She kept moving deeper into the cemetery until she found a row of graves sunken into the earth. The names were worn away, centuries old. The whispers grew louder here, overlapping, frantic. They weren't carried by the air, they were coming from below. Her throat tightened. She wanted to leave, but something in her mix of fear and curiosity pulled her forward. She knelt, brushing frost from one of the headstones. Her fingers went numb instantly, and the whispering stopped. The sudden silence was worse than the voices then. A sharp crack echoed behind her. She spun around, lantern trembling. One of the graves had split open, the soil collapsing inward like something had pushed from beneath. Her mouth went dry. Slowly, the disturbed earth shifted, and a pale skeletal hand emerged, clawing at the air. The lantern light caught on yellowed bone, the fingers twitching as if tasting freedom. Evelyn stumbled back, her boots catching on a root. From the open grave, a figure began to rise. Not flesh, not fully bone, something in between. Its skull was draped in ragged strips of skin, its jaw working soundlessly, eyes like black pits. Around it, the other graves began to stir, the ground shivering as more hands, more broken forms, pushed themselves upward. The whispers returned, louder, now no longer voices, but screams to muffle to escape their earthbound throats. Evelyn turned to run, but the cemetery had changed. The path she had taken was gone, replaced by endless rows of graves stretching into the darkness. The angel statue was nowhere to be seen. Something cold closed around her ankle. She looked down. One of the skeletal hands had found her, its grip impossibly strong. She kicked, breaking free, but more hands erupted from the soil, clawing at her legs, pulling her down. The lantern fell and shattered, plunging everything into pitch black. In the darkness, she felt herself being dragged, the cold seeping into her bones, the soil pressing against her face. The last thing she heard was the chorus of whispers, no longer frantic, but welcoming. The next morning, the graveyard was silent again. Only a faint impression of footprints in the frost marked that anyone had been there. But in the oldest part of Hollow Brook Cemetery, a new grave had appeared, its headstone blank, save for a single fresh handprint pressed into the stone.